is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. Here's the idea. You get it now. You call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
Whether your car has small tires, big tires, tires that go fast, tires with extra grip, or tires that just get you from here to there, they can be an unexpected expense. Don't wait any longer. At Big O Tires, we have no credit needed financing available. So no matter your budget, no matter your situation, we have the lowest prices on every kind of tire every day. With multiple lending partners, our financing is tailored to you with credit options made easy. Don't wait another day. Take advantage of our good to no credit financing today. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investment those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year. You can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC, SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Now here's a highlight from Coast to Coast AM on iHeartRadio.
Richard Barth, take us back to September 1964. You're guarding a Minuteman missile that's being prepped for a launch within the next day or so. You're out there in the dark by yourself after your sergeant leaves you. 2 o'clock in the morning. What happens?
Well, at 2 o'clock, that's when the sergeant usually comes in, brings us our lunch, and then takes off, and you don't see him again until you're relieved in the morning. So he had brought me my lunch. It was a very foggy night out there, and so the silo or the missile site is illuminated with a very bright light, like you might find on a sports field. And so the effect was like a dome of light around me. It was about 20, 30 feet, and then it was just a wall of fog. And so he had just left, and about 10 minutes later, I see this figure out in the fog, and I thought, well, the sergeant must have come back, but why did he walk back? He didn't bring, there's no, because we're one of these Air Force trucks, but the figure was just standing there. So I thought, well, why did he walk back? And then as the figure came closer and started moving towards me, it was wearing a trench coat, like a raincoat that the Air Force officers would wear, and so I thought, well, this is some officer checking up on me or something like that. But as it continued coming towards me, and I'm going to call it in at this point because it continued coming towards me, and I could, I just all of a sudden became very frightened because it didn't stop, and I had a 38 pistol that we all carried. So I tried to draw that pistol, and my right arm was paralyzed. I couldn't move it, which really terrified me because it kept coming at me. And as it got closer, now I've been asking, do I see the face? There's something about that face that was just terrifying, but in my brain just will not picture that picture anymore. I'd see the figure and just a blank where the face would be. So I backed into the guard shack. We call them guard shacks because that's what they were. There was a shelf at the back where there was a telephone we would call in periodically. And I remember feeling trapped like an animal in a cage. And I backed into that little shelf and I can remember trying to push the wall out, trying to get out of there. And the next thing I knew, I just blacked out. No. And so the next thing, now there's another part that came, there's a blank in there. And the next thing, I'm back conscious again, but now I'm inside this craft. and it's about 15 feet across. I would say maybe less. It's hard for me to judge distance. But I'm on my knees. I'm towards the center, and I'm looking at this. It's a round window about 3.5 feet across, and you can see the gray through it, like the fog, and the creature or figure is sitting to my right, and telepathically is giving me the message, don't look at it, just keep looking out the window. Now, the window itself was circular and clear, but it didn't look like glass. It just looked like a hole in the sky, but there was no air currents coming through. Obviously, it was very cold, but there's no air currents coming through, so it had to have a barrier on it. And so I just said, don't look over at me, just look out the opening there. So I was looking out the opening, and then the fog separated, and now I was on site D5, which was right on the coast, and then across the street and about a quarter of a mile down to the south was what we call post D11. We rotated all these posts, so I knew which each one was like. And I, looking straight down from what appeared to be about 100 feet, it was just dawn. It was just getting, light, but the fog separated, and I could see this truck drive up. It was a flatbed truck. It was loaded with pipes, and it stopped at the gate. The guard came out to the right-hand window of the truck. Apparently, checking the truck driver's ID, went and opened the gate, went and drove. I got back into his guard check, and the truck drove in, and then the fog closed up. So why I was shown that, I have no idea. But so then I'm back, sitting there and looking at the fog again, and again saying that just don't look at me. But I kind of raised my eyes because I wanted to see around. I didn't.
Yes,
turn
those
my
are
head around.
bullhorns.
I kind of raised my eyes, and I could see across.
I'll be back.
5-6 feet away, there were 4 little figures sitting on either side. There was a gap in between, which I took to be kind of an entrance to this circular room I was in. And the figures weren't doing anything. They were just looking at me, and they were silhouetted. Apparently, this room was quite dark, and there was a little bit of illumination that was coming up, apparently off these walls, which and the figures being in front of these illuminated walls were just kind of dark. There was enough I could see that they were small. They were sitting. They had their hands on their knees. They had small bodies and very large heads, which reminded me of like a newborn baby, at that type of proportion. The necks were short and fairly thick, and they had large eyes, but they weren't almond-shaped or anything. They're just very large eyes and small nose, small mouth, no ears that I can see, just a bald head. Looked like a newborn baby's, and they weren't communicating or anything. They were just watching me. That's all. They were just saw these 4 figures just watching me. Then there's another blank. The next thing I know, I'm laying on the floor of the guard shack, half in, half out, and my head's on the lap of this entity, whatever it is. And the message is, it's communication. It's not words. It's just communication. The communication is keep your eyes shut. Don't open your eyes. And then the communication was, I'm sorry we scared you so badly. It was kind of an apology almost. But it was necessary that they had to get into the missile site. Now, my assumption is there's a entrance that goes to a crew chamber that circles the missile that has a bunch of launch equipment in there, plus access to the missiles, so that apparently they wanted to get in there and see what that equipment was, and probably learn something, whatever they needed to learn. Then that communication, we needed to get some information on the missile. We're very concerned about what you guys can do to this planet with these nuclear weapons.
Friday, February 6th. Kick off the Winter Olympics in style with the opening ceremony from Italy, featuring a special performance by Mariah Carey. Celebrate the greatest athletes from around the globe as they come together to go for gold.
Lindsey Vonn, sensational!
The opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics.
Ilya Malinin, redefining the sport.
Friday, February 6th on NBC and Peacock.
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC. SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Hi, I'm Cindy Crawford, and I'm the founder of Meaningful Beauty. When Dr. Sabah and I decided to do a skincare line together, he said to me, we are going to give women meaningful beauty. And I said, that's exactly right. We want to give women meaningful beauty, which means each and every product is meaningful. It has a reason to exist. It's efficacious. You're going to get results. And then you just go out and live your life.
Meaningful Beauty. Confidence is beautiful. Learn more at meaningfulbeauty.com.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
And the other thing was that he was very, very kind. The sense was just a very kind and almost loving. I felt very, very good, like a mother at a child at its mother's breast at the time. And he did say one thing. He said, we can't allow you to damage the planet. But also that there's other species, and they weren't as benevolent as his species was. So that if we were to go to nuclear war, there would be a competition to see. That would be full disclosure, but there would be a competition to who's going to run the show after that. And then again, he said he was leaving, and to keep my eyes shut. So I did, and I lay there about 10 minutes, and I finally opened my eyes, got up. The sun was there's a ridge of mountains behind the Minuteman sector, and the sun was just coming up. I could kind of lit up the ocean, a beautiful scene, and I looked down at this it was like chipmunk. And I felt nothing but love for that little chipmunk. I mean, I really felt that whatever this creature did in its telepathy just made me feel better than I could ever feel the rest of my life. I would never feel that way again, but it's almost a feeling of pure love. About 10 or 15 minutes later, my relief came. I got back in these Earthly pickup trucks. I got in the back, and I was very silent, and I couldn't quite remember what was going on. I knew something had happened, and as everybody was asking me why I was so quiet, because usually when we're relieved, we're very jovial, ready, we're off shift, we can get back and get some breakfast and go get some sleep. And so, but I was just kind of sitting there very, very quiet, and they were questioning me on that. and I knew something had happened, but the memory had faded. So when I got back to the base, I really couldn't remember other than just this sense that something had happened. And it wasn't for, a couple of weeks that I woke up and, now, I'm well aware they have this paralytic sleep or whatever that is, but this was not paralytic sleep. I was awake, and all of a sudden everything flashed back on me. I mean, in just full detail. And it wasn't a dream. Dreams fade. This thing was just real. And I looked over at my roommate, and he was asleep because I wanted to say something to him. And so I thought, well, somebody's got to know what happened. Somebody's got to know that this vessel site was violated. And so, but then there was like, no, you're not supposed to tell anybody about this. You're supposed to keep quiet. I remember getting up, getting dressed, walking to the chow hall, and thinking, well, I should be telling somebody about this. And then I thought, no, they're going to think I'm crazy, and then that's not going to help my military record or anything like that. But there was kind of two things. I felt, no, they're going to think I'm crazy, but at the same time, like I was commanded, no, you don't tell anybody about this. You keep it to yourself. And so I just kind of let it go. I carried it with me, but I wasn't going to do anything about it.
Let me bring Robert back in for a moment here, Richard. Robert, what rings true and reflective of your long investigation into this subject? What rings true about Richard's story?
Virtually everything. I mean, he's describing the first figure, even though he can't see its face. It's definitely human in appearance. And clearly what he saw on board this craft were what we would call grays. I mean, that's the closest species that we could relate to. But of the 169, this is important to note that of the 169 witnesses that I've interviewed, 8, including Richard, he's number 8, have had abduction experiences either at the time of their nuclear weapons related incident or later in life. So some percentage of these people who are having these experiences that are, let's call them nuts and bolts experience, are subsequently having abductions for whatever reason. How it works, who knows? But many of your listeners are going to know Robert Salas, that name. Salas, who was involved at Malmstrom the same time my dad was and had his missile shut down, in 1985, he was abducted, and he kept that secret until 2013, but he's now on the record about that. Bob Jacobs, who I co-wrote a book with when I came out as an experiencer in 2019, he has had multiple experiences with these entities, and he was the one that was involved in filming the UFO. Within the last couple of years, I interviewed another security policeman like Richard named Mario Woods, who had an amazing incident and was abducted. He and his partner, at the time, they went to check why a missile was acting up, while there were incursion alarms going off. And he, long story short, was taken aboard. If your listeners Google Mario Woods UAP or UFO, you'll see his amazing account. He's given several interviews. So the fact that some number of people who have these experiences at missile sites or other nuclear sites are also having abductions is now well established. The presence of human-looking aliens, which basically Richard encountered at first, and then later when he came back off the craft, that also has been reported elsewhere. So Richard, I think everyone can tell, is just being very sincere and very straightforward. And because he was told in this telepathic communication that there are multiple species of aliens working together to prevent us from going to nuclear war, that's been my hypothesis from the 1970s. You know, the craft they fly are obviously orders of magnitude beyond human technology. They do seem to have an interest in our nuclear weapons. They're shutting them down sometimes. They're temporarily activating them sometimes. My hypothesis has been that they're sending a message. They're dropping a heavy hint. You know, get rid of nuclear weapons. Do not use nuclear weapons. And that essentially what was the message. My article about Richard, where I quote him, what he wrote to me. I encourage everyone who's listening to read the article I wrote. There's two. The first one's the most important, and you'll see what he was told in more detail, that they're here, they're working together, they will not let us use nuclear weapons, and if it looks like we're going to, they're going to intervene to prevent that. And that was the essence of the telepathic message that he was receiving.
Listen to more Coast to Coast AM every weeknight at 1 a.m. Eastern, and go to coasttocoastam.com for more.
Enjoy more ways to save at Smith's, like low prices in every aisle. And you can clip and save more with digital coupons in the Smith's app. Plus, you can earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. So it's always easy to save big. Smith's, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Fuel restrictions apply. See site for details.
Save even more on your favorites. Simply mix and match 5 or more participating items and get them for just 99 cents each during our 99-cent sale going on now.
Whether your car has small tires, big tires, tires that go fast, tires with extra grip, or tires that just get you from here to there, they can be an unexpected expense. Don't wait any longer. At Big O Tires, we have no credit needed financing available. So no matter your budget, no matter your situation, we have the lowest prices on every kind of tire every day. With multiple lending partners, our financing is tailored to you with credit options made easy. Don't wait another day. Take advantage of our good to no credit financing today. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
At CVS, it matters that we're not just in your community, but that we're part of it. It matters that we're here for you when you need us, day or night. And we want everyone to feel welcomed and rewarded. It matters that CVS is here to fill your prescriptions and here to fill your craving for a tasty and, healthy snack. At CVS, we're proud to serve your community because we believe where you get your medicine matters. So visit us at cvs.com or just come by our store. We can't wait to meet you. Store hours vary by location.
This is Julian Edelman from Dudes on Dudes with Gronk and Jules. Sunday mornings, I've got my game day ritual. Coffee, Lucky Socks, and now new morning Uncrustable sandwiches.
It's all about that 12-gram protein boost with the new Uncrustables, bright-eyed berry or up and apple flavors.
Bright-eyed berries got a feist.
Apple, your classic do-it-all tight end.
Soft, pillowy protein, and easy enough for Gronk to grab from the freezer.
Whether you're on the couch, driving to the tailgate, or heading to the locker room, new morning Uncrustable sandwiches are the MVP of snacks.
Your new Sunday kickoff ritual starts here with new morning Uncrustable sandwiches packed with 12 grams of protein.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human. This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human. Friday, February 6th, kick off the Winter Olympics in style with the opening ceremony from Italy, featuring a special performance by Mariah Carey. Celebrate the greatest athletes from around the globe as they come together to go for gold.
Let's it on sensational!
The opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics.
Ilya Malanin, redefining this sport.
Friday, February 6th on NBC and Peacock.
In the middle of the night, Saskia awoke in a haze. Her husband Mike was on his laptop. What was on his screen would change Saskia's life forever.
I said, I need you to tell me exactly what you're doing. And immediately, the mask came off.
You're supposed to be safe. That's your home. That's your husband.
Listen to Betrayal Season 5 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey listeners, I'm Sean Flynn, host of the Brothers Ortiz podcast, and I'm excited to share this riveting story with you. But I'm also excited to tell you that you can now get access to all episodes of the Brothers Ortiz 100% ad-free and 1 week early through the iHeart True Crime Plus subscription, available exclusively on Apple Podcasts. Plus, you'll get access to other chart-topping true crime shows you love, like The Girlfriends, Paper Ghosts, Piketon Massacre, Murder Homes, Unrestorable, The Godmother, Betrayal, and more. So don't wait. Head to Apple Podcasts, search for iHeart True Crime Plus, and subscribe today.
Ring Central knows that businesses run on communication, and juggling separate systems for team collaboration and customer service creates confusion, missed opportunities, and frustrated customers. Ring Central changes everything with Ring EX and Ring CX, one powerful platform that connects your entire organization. Ring EX keeps your team connected with seamless calling, messaging, and video meetings, whether they're in the office or working remotely. Meanwhile, Ring CX transforms your customer experience with AI-powered contact center capabilities that route calls intelligently and provide real-time insights. The magic happens when they work together. Your customer service agents can instantly collaborate with experts across your company to solve problems faster. No more transferring customers between systems or losing context. With over 500,000 businesses trusting Ring Central and 99.999% uptime reliability, you're in good company. Visit ringcentral.com. That's ringcentral.com. Ring Central, voice of your business.
Now here's a highlight from Coast to Coast AM on iHeartRadio.
And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you. Our special guest, Anna Maria Manello. Her website is linked up at coasttocoastam.com. She's got, how many books do you have out now, Anna?
I have 8 now, and then another one coming out late summer, early fall.
We'll go through most of them today. Okay, tell us about the other stories you.
Okay, well, real quick here. I know we only have an hour. There were two.
Hold on. You're with us this next hour for phone calls.
Oh, excellent. That's great. Well, I'm going to tell you a couple of UFO stories, and then I'm going to step off from that one and go into the paranormal realm, because it's just really what you're interested in, what the audience is interested in. This one is closer to home. This once again involves a body of water. And George, I don't know what it is about UFOs and water. These two gentlemen were coming home from work. They were buddies. One gentleman happened to have just an infant, a baby, and they decided they would go to a local watering hole. So they crossed the bridge into New Jersey and promptly parked at a very, very busy parking lot where everybody was already inside, having drinks, etc. And the one gentleman then approaches the door. They were parked like right in the middle of the parking lot, a very, very busy parking lot. I can't tell you the name of the restaurant. But the other guy then says, oh, wait, I forgot the pictures I was going to show you of the baby. Yada, 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 yada. I got to get back there. He said, okay, I'll wait for you inside. And then the guy dashes out, goes back to his car, and opens the door of the back seat. He then climbs into the back seat, takes out the pictures, the envelope, whatever they were in. And as he pulls himself out and closes the door, he finds that he's alone in the parking lot. People were exterminated, set in camps. So what happened to her was very tragic. I remember how she was so emotionally even during that time, overwrought over what had happened. She never saw her mother again. But then she ended up being forcibly enlisted to be a teacher of the youth corps, the German, they were indoctrinating children. And she was made to be a teacher. She had to preach to them about all the philosophies of the German movement. And then one day she decided to escape. She walks through the Bavarian woods, and that's when she witnesses things that were being replayed. It was really not happening anymore. But because of the violence and the suddenness of it, the tragedies that were happening, things were being replayed before her eyes as she went through the Bavarian woods. It took her several weeks to get through them, and by the time she got out, she had a knowledge of how things were played out when something tragic happens. And you know what I'm alluding to, George. These are all disembodied people. even animals that had passed away because of the war were being reenacted in front of her.
So what you've done in some of your books is you've taken real stories and have created them as novels, right?
Yes. So what I do is I set it up in such a way that the plot ends up being pieces of the true events. In this particular case, because it is considered creative nonfiction, it's about 85 to 90% true. And in this particular case, what really, and I still don't understand it to this day, is how she ended up in this particular area, a different dimension altogether, where she was interacting with spirits and not realizing that they were spirits.
You've got a book called Haunted Heirlooms. I assume that has to do with artifacts that have been haunted by ghosts.
Yes. So there's 4 stories in Haunted Heirlooms. They were all from actual antique dealers that I had met, because I used to collect a lot of antiques in my time. And having now learned about them and their lives, it's been quite a number of years, they finally opened up to me and told me about these objects that they had a problem they didn't know what to do with it. I mean, whether it was ethically correct to sell it. Some came into them because they were traveling, and once she traveled to Czechoslovakia and ordered an urn, and it came shipped to her door in Boston. And it just went on from there, because she did not realize what it housed. She couldn't open the lid. It was what they call a blue and white urn. It's beautiful. She doesn't have possession of it anymore at this point. They had to bury it. But it was an urn that was about 2 feet tall. Very expensive.
Were there remains in the urn at that time?
Yes. Not to give you the spoiler, but yes. But there was something that was around it that was protecting it. And that is what terrified her family and led them to consult other people. At the time, they were living in a beautiful home that had a large patio attached to it. And it wasn't even unwrapped yet when it came. But something was trying to get out of the wrapping, and something was helping it to get out of the wrapping. So just picture a big package, a big container, and something was tearing away at the edge of the box.
I'm in St. Louis right now, and they have arrested a guy who stole 40 bronze urns from cemeteries.
Oh, jeez.
These urns would be on top of the gravestone, and they'd be the cremated remains of the loved one. And he stole the bronze urns. Now, eventually he's going to get haunted, isn't he?
Well, something's going to visit on him.
You would think so. My gosh.
Yeah. It's interesting to me, George, that people don't realize. I know there's some kind of fad right now about dolls, haunted dolls. And as recently as last year, when I was in a book fest, I actually have a doll prop, and it looks like a black-eyed kid. And, people thought it was for sale. They always wanted to see one. They always wanted to get a haunted doll. And here's a cautionary: you never know what you're acquiring when you're actually intending or hoping to get something of that nature. The next thing you know, you encounter one. To see one or actually hold one and to actually own it is not what you want. These particular objects. They're rare, I have to say that. They don't come often, but when they do, it is incredibly difficult to get rid of them, if not deal with the havoc that happens afterwards.
Listen to more Coast to Coast AM every weeknight at 1 a.m. AM.com for more.
This is an iHeart podcast. Gary Guaranteed Human. This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed Human.
Whether your car has small tires, big tires, tires that go fast, tires with extra grip, or tires that just get you from here to there, they can be an unexpected expense. Don't wait any longer. At Big O Tires, we have no credit needed financing available. So no matter your budget, no matter your situation, we have the lowest prices on every kind of tire every day. With multiple lending partners, our financing is tailored to you with credit options made easy. Don't wait another day. Take advantage of our good to no credit financing today. Big O Tires.
Our holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here, you get it now. You call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 month plan. 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
Running a business is hard enough. Don't make it harder with a dozen apps that don't talk to each other. One for sales, another for inventory, a separate one for accounting, and software overload. Voodoo is the all-in-one platform that replaces them all. CRM, accounting, inventory, e-commerce,
options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt. From renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year, you can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC. SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only. It is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
Now here's a highlight from Coast to Coast AM on iHeartRadio.
And welcome back to Coast. George Norrie with you. Dr. Kathleen Ball, PhD, back with us. Film producer, writer, artist, mystic, and explorer of ancient sites. Following a life-transforming near-death experience, which happened back in 1990, she pursued her PhD in metaphysical sciences while exploring ancient mystical beliefs from every corner of the planet, dating back to the mythical civilizations of Atlantis and Lemuria. And their current theory is that the Knights Templar followed a similar path. The book is called The Grail Quest. Kathleen, welcome.
Edit, I'm hoping, praying, on my second book. So that's my main priority right now, is getting that book out.
And what will that be called?
Different perspective. I'm looking at it from the Templars seeing their agenda, experiencing their agenda as a long-term agenda that began in Greece and in Constantinople, where they were gathering spiritual backgrounds from spiritual belief systems, Sufi and Druze and several other spiritual backgrounds. They studied Hinduism, they studied just about every spiritual belief system on the planet with the hope of bringing it back into Europe and at some point igniting some type of a renaissance, which we know later happened. So, helped to move Europe through the Middle Ages into a renaissance, a rebirth, with the idea of an evolutionary jump, an evolutionary progression where equality and religious freedom and some of these other ideals were exercised as they did in Portugal, which we know Portugal, they were very successful in creating a sovereign nation with these ideals. But what they did is embed themselves in every single country in Europe at the time, including the UK and Scotland, in the political system, in the governmental system, in banking systems, systems, in the merchant, in business systems. They were examples to the locals. They taught animal husbandry, farming techniques that were new. They brought, a lot of information back from the Holy Land and Constantinople and other areas that they went to. So this is what I'm working on. I found some really interesting evidence that shows that this was very definitely an agenda that they had. And we do know that later they were involved in the putting together and authoring the Magna Carta, and also pushing that forward with the king in England. And this later was a template that was used in creating the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights for the United States. So inadvertently, whether they were directly involved or not, we know the Masons were definitely involved in establishing the United States, the foundation for the United States of America. So, there's a lot of debate about that, but, I believe from the evidence that I've found that they were directly involved through the Masonic Order and their descendants in being involved in the foundation of the United States of America.
Kathleen, back in the 1800s, when they were formed, what was happening to Christians to create the Knights Templar?
Well, they were supposedly created to protect pilgrims, which is one of the things they did later on. But in the first 9 years that they were in the Holy Land, they were in Jerusalem at the Temple Mount, they were excavating. They were not protecting. They weren't involved in the Crusades, and they weren't protecting pilgrims at that point. They were excavating relics. What I assume were genealogies. There's a lot of speculation. We don't have any direct knowledge of everything that they collected, that they excavated under the Temple Mount. We can only speculate that there were some relics, there were some things that were buried under there during the demolition of the Second Temple, things that were hidden. And we know that now we have some evidence that many of the original Templars were Jewish. So, there's reason to believe that some of this information may possibly have been passed down through family members orally, because they seemed to know exactly where they were going. When they got into Jerusalem, they went straight to the Temple Mount, and they were staying in the stables, and they began excavating almost immediately. So, it just leads me to believe, and several other researchers that I know, to believe that was strategic. They knew exactly where they were going. They knew exactly what they were looking for, and they knew exactly where to find it.
Were they the best of the best in terms of soldiers?
Yes, they were. They were very disciplined, and they were the best. We have quotes from Saladin that has come down to us through history, that they were very well respected for their discipline and their military achievement and abilities. They were respected even by Saladin. So,
your current book, A Grail Quest, a mysterious cave in Brazil. Tell us about that.
Yes, it's a very mysterious cave in Brazil, which triggered a lot of this research that I'm doing now, because it forced me to backtrack into Portugal, which is where they came from. But this cave, as you know, was actually, I wasn't intending I was not out searching for a Templar cave that day.
That's not something you wake up and say, I'm going to go looking for a Templar cave.
No, no, definitely not. No, what happened was a series of synchronistic events that put me in a place where I really didn't have much choice but to find it. The woman that I went with, she didn't know how to drive a car much. I had forgotten my driver's license, and we had to rent a car. All they had was shift. She couldn't. She blew up two clutches. Or we even got out of Brasilia. We were an hour out of Brasilia the first time, and the second 2 hours out of Brasilia, which really hamper on our time frame of getting into Cavalcante, where our hotel was reserved. So we had to completely shift gears. We ended up in Alto Paraíso, as you know, and so we decided, okay, we're going to make the best of it. What's in this area? Well, there's caves. They're not caves, excuse me. There's waterfalls. There's beautiful rivers and mountainous area, and it was just gorgeous. So, we ended up at the first one that was closest to us, Agua Fria. And when we came out from that hike, the owner of the property says, "Hey, would you girls like to see this adjacent property next to us, where there's crystal beans and you can pick up all these crystals?" So that was what our motive was. We had no other motive than to go next door and collect crystals. It had been so hot that day, and we had already hiked about, almost 5 kilometers by that point. And our guide says, "Hey, you want to go rest in this cave? It's not very far, much further down." If those things hadn't have happened, I would have never discovered this cave.
Now, in terms of in the cave, what was so special about it?
Well, it was what was above the cave that got my initial attention and basically flabbergasted me. I was just stunned. I still remember that moment. I'll never forget it. As he pushed the bushes away, and there's a Knights Templar cross right above the cave. Right above it. And I just went, oh my God, what is a Knights Templar cross doing out here in the middle of nowhere? We were thousands of miles from the coast. It didn't make any sense to me at all. But when I went inside the cave, then I saw more Templar, graffiti inside the cave. There were crosses that I had seen in Dome, France, where they had kept the Templars during the time of imprisonment, 1307 to 1310. So I knew that it was definitely a Templar cave, but I needed to, talk to some experts, cross experts and whatnot. So of course that was the next thing I did, was go into Portugal and talk to Templar cross expert, João Fiendiero, in Tomar, and he corroborated the fact that it was definitely Templar. So, that began this whole thing that's unfolding for the last, now we're looking at almost 11 years. That was in August of 2010 that I discovered that cave. So
Support for the show comes from Public, the investing platform for those who take it seriously. On Public, you can build a multi-asset portfolio of stocks, bonds, options, crypto, and now generated assets, which allow you to turn any idea into an investable index with AI. It all starts with your prompt, from renewable energy companies with high free cash flow to semiconductor suppliers growing revenue over 20% year over year. You can literally type any prompt and put the AI to work. It screens thousands of stocks, builds a one-of-a-kind index, and lets you backtest it against the S&P 500. Then you can invest in a few clicks. Generated assets are like ETFs with infinite possibilities, completely customizable and based on your thesis, not someone else's. Go to public.com/podcast and earn an uncapped 1% bonus when you transfer your portfolio. That's public.com/podcast. Paid for by Public Investing. Brokerage services by Open to the Public Investing Inc. Member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services by Public Advisors LLC. SEC registered advisor. Generated assets is an interactive analysis tool. Output is for informational purposes only and is not an investment recommendation or advice. Complete disclosures available at public.com/disclosures.
There's no championship league for small business owners, but if there was, you'd be at the top of the standings. Because going pro with Lenovo Pro means you've got the winning formation, one-on-one advice, IT solutions, and customized hardware powered by Intel Core Ultra processors help you stay ahead of the competition. Business goes pro with Lenovo Pro. Sign up for free at lenovo.com/pro.
Forget whatever plans you have this weekend because you're staying at home and playing on SpinQuest. And there's never been a better time to sign up than right now. New users get $30 coin packs for just $10. All the table games you love, with hundreds of slot games and real cash prizes. That's at spinquest.com. SPINQUEST.com.
SpendQuest is a free-to-play social casino. Void where prohibited. Visit spendquest.com for more details.
This is Jacob Goldstein from What's Your Problem? Business software is expensive. And when you buy software from lots of different companies, it's not only expensive, it gets confusing, slow to use, hard to integrate. Odoo solves that because all Odoo software is connected on a single affordable platform. Save money without missing out on the features you need. Odoo has no hidden costs and no limit on features or data. Odoo has over 60 apps available for any needs your business might have, all at no additional charge. Everything from websites to sales to inventory to accounting, all linked and talking to each other. Check out Odoo at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
Kathleen, did the Templars disband, or are they still secretly?
They're out there. We have current members, orders that have popped up everywhere, but we still have some continuity of original Templar. We have descendants from original Templar members in Portugal, definitely, and also in Brazil. Now, I don't know about any other countries specifically. I know in Scotland there is some claim to that, but I haven't seen genealogy, so I don't know for certain. But there's probably hundreds of thousands of Templars if you consider all the different orders that have popped up all over the place right now in this, now currently. Timothy Hogan is one person that I've been working pretty closely with, who's a Grandmaster, and he's corroborated a lot of the research that I've been doing over the years. That the Templars did have a specific agenda, and he does which I've already explained, and also the fact that they were gathering esoteric knowledge. Now the Tamar Horde is proof, well, it's actually, I shouldn't say proof, but it's really strong evidence of their esoteric and initiatory behavior and practices, because I'm a really good friend with Hamilton White, and he has shown me this Tamar Horde. I mean, there's hundreds of pieces, and these are initiatory chalices, they're initiatory chambers and initiation symbols. Royston in England is a issues all over the place in Royston.
What is the significance of the Templars in Portugal, Kathleen?
The significance of the Templars in Portugal, I believe, was actually the nuts and bolts of the order. Many people don't really know. I just discovered this in my recent research in France last year, that there was a schism that happened in 1188 in Gisors, France, and the inner circle of the order, they didn't separate physically, but they separated spiritually, I guess would be to describe it. The inner order still to their original ideals, whereas they were the bankers, they were the soldiers, they were the farmers, they were administrators and that sort of thing, which also explains why many of the Templars, when they were arrested in France by King Philip the Fair, didn't really know what was going on with the initiation process. So they were asked, they were tortured, and they were asked about these practices, and they really didn't have any information that was solid.
Why were they arrested? What did they do wrong?
Well, they were too big for their britches. I mean, honestly, that's really what it came down to. After 1292, after the fall of Acre, there really wasn't a use for the Templars. The kings were all broke. The only king that had any money was the one in Portugal, which explains why the Templars were going back and forth to Brazil, because they were bringing gold to the king in Portugal. So he was the only one who had any money. But the rest of the monarchs throughout Europe had been, they had been feeding money and men into the Crusades for centuries, and they were broke. They were broke. So here you have an order that has more money and more property than most monarchs, and that's a scary thing to a monarch. They devise their power, and so especially in France, where King Philip the Fair also attempted to become a Templar at one point, and he was denied access, and so of course that probably made him angry. But I don't think that was his only motive. I think his primary motive was financial. Honestly, he wanted to see the end of the order, so they didn't compete with his power. But he also wanted what they had, and they had a lot of money, although he never did attain that. And I think it's because the Templars always had spies. They had an excellent system of spies. They were brilliant when it came to strategy and the workings of networks. So I think that they had a heads up long before that. King Philip the Fair came and arrested all of these Templars, including Jacques de Molay. I think they knew that many of the Templars just left at that point. They went to Scotland. They took the treasure, the main, cathedral, the main fortress in Paris. I think they took it. All of it was gone days, even maybe weeks before the arrest even took place.
Were they a violent group?
Were they what? I'm sorry?
A violent group?
Well, they weren't. They were trained soldiers, but at the same time, they were monks, and that they were also spiritually very disciplined men. And so, we're all capable of both. I think, we all have the capability of a lot more than I think that we'd want to admit to. But as far as the Templars go, they did have that violent side. They were perfectly capable of defending themselves and monarchs and, whatever they were in charge of. But at the same time, that wasn't really their essential nature. I think their essential nature was of a spiritual origin.
At their highest point, how many of them do you think there were?
Oh, thousands. I couldn't even attempt to figure that out, because so many were murdered, almost as soon as they got, there were hundreds that were killed at a time in Jerusalem. So, England and France and Italy and Spain, they were sending more and sending more men. As soon as they trained them, they get into action, in the Crusades, and they were losing a lot of battles. They were losing a lot of battles because of the organization. Saladin, what he did was organize all of the Muslim troops that were over there, all the isolated tribes that had been separate. He brought them all together. So that made a huge impact on what was going on in the Holy Land at that point in time. It was their territory. They had more men. They had everything in there, that really was on their side. The Templars really didn't have a lot on their side, except for the fact that they were extremely disciplined and skilled warriors.
Listen to more Coast to Coast AM every weeknight at 1 a.m. Eastern, and go to coasttocoastam.com for more.
Enjoy more ways to save at Smith's, like low prices in every aisle. And you can clip and save more with digital coupons in the Smith's app. Plus, you can earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. So it's always easy to save big. Smith's, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Fuel restrictions apply. See site for details.
Save even more on your favorites. Simply mix and match 5 or more participating items and get them for just 99 cents each during our 99-cent sale going on now.
Whether your car has small tires, big tires, tires that go fast, tires with extra grip, or tires that just get you from here to there, they can be an unexpected expense. Don't wait any longer. At Big O Tires, we have no credit-needed financing available. So no matter your budget, no matter your situation, we have the lowest prices on every kind of tire every day. With multiple lending partners, our financing is tailored to you with credit options made easy. Don't wait another day. Take advantage of our good to no credit financing today. Big O Tires, the team you trust.
Venmo Stash, a taco in one hand and ordering a ride in the other. It means you're stacking cash back. Nice. Get up to 5% cash back with Venmo Stash on your favorite brands when you pay with your Venmo debit card. From takeout to ride shares, entertainment and more, pick a bundle with your go-tos and start earning cash back in those brands. Earn more cash when you do more with Stash. Venmo Stash terms and exclusions apply. Max $100 cash back per month. See terms at venmo.me/stash terms.
Running a business is hard enough. Don't make it harder with a dozen apps that don't talk to each other. One for sales, another for inventory, a separate one for accounting, and software overload. Odoo is the all-in-one platform that replaces them all. CRM, accounting, inventory, e-commerce, HR, fully integrated, easy to use, and built to grow with your business. Thousands have already made the switch. Why not you? Try Odoo for free at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
This feel all of their own. The board just sits there doing nothing very much at all. Create this aura around the board, and you know, we all played with them as kids, didn't we? And if we didn't afford a Ouija board, we made one out of bits of paper and an upside down glass or cup. And you know what? They always used to say the same thing: "You will die."
That's right. I'm coming to get you. We've got a guest. We've got a guest named Karen Dolman who loves the Ouija board, and she would agree with you that they do not permeate evil at all. It's the individual.
They're a fantastic piece of cultural history and social history. You know, even art. I know people that have them mounted on their walls in frames. It's fascinating to watch the interaction when I attend an investigation as a guest. One of the highlights for me is to watch the interaction with not just Ouija boards but other divination objects, where people gather around and they believe that they're gaining messages, and sometimes the messages are as implausible as the scenario that people find themselves in. One of the best, putting Ouija board just to one side for a moment, I was I can't remember, I think it was Bolsover Castle, many years ago now, and I was called over to, "You've got to come and see this. This is amazing. We're getting some really good messages here." So I headed over, and into a darkened room. I was confronted for the first time with ashtray divination. Now, you imagine that, perhaps the figure is drawing, the spirit figure is drawing or making symbols into the discarded cigarette ash. Now, this was a large glass ashtray on a stand, so it was like a floor-mounted thing, and they were tipping it backwards and forwards.
Wow, it was moving.
It was indeed. That was the first time I've ever encountered ashtray divination. Hopefully the last.
Listen to more Coast to Coast AM every weeknight at 1 a.m. Eastern. And go to coasttocoastam.com for more.
Enjoy more ways to save at Smith's, like low prices in every aisle. And you can clip and save more with digital coupons in the Smith's app. Plus, you can earn fuel points to save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Always easy to save big. Smith's, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary. Fuel restrictions apply. See site for details.
Save even more on your favorites. Simply mix and match 5 or more participating items and get them for just 99 cents each during our 99-cent sale going on now.
Forget everything you had planned for this weekend because you are sitting on your couch and winning from the comfort of your own home. I'm here with SpinQuest, where you can play hundreds of slot games, all of the